Hey there, crafty friends. Thanks so much for stopping by the channel today. In today's video, I'm going to be creating a couple cards featuring the new release from Scrappy Tails Crafts, the Garden Gate die. And I'm also going to be using the garden stand animals as well. What I really like about this die is that there's not a bunch of little pieces. They're actually connected, which makes it easier for you to not lose the little dies. And I'll show you how all of these dies will cut out. This is the garden stand animals die, and I've used this in past videos. I absolutely adore this set. I just can't get enough of it, and these critters are just so adorable. So let's go ahead and get started with our cards for today. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out all of these pieces. First, I'm going to use some textured white cardstock to cut out the garden gate. And once you get it cut, you just have to wiggle some of these pieces out. I just used my tweezers to pop out all of the little tiny fence pieces, and they pop out super easy. I went ahead and cut out a second layer because I wanted my garden gate to be a little bit sturdier. The textured cardstock is from Sizzix, and I think it's around 60-ish pounds, but I like it to be a little bit thicker and more sturdy on my cards, so sometimes I'll double up my die layers, and then that just gives you a little bit, it reinforces it basically. And so that's what I'm doing here. And then these little pieces here cut out the vines, the flowers, and also the hardware for the gate. So for the vines, I cut out 3, one to go on either side and one to go across the top. I'm just using my tweezers to poke out any of the cutouts that are inside the die and using some liquid glue to adhere all of that down. And I just love the design. I love Sabrina's designs. She loves to paper piece, and so do I. So this is a lot of fun. All of her very unique dies, and I really just enjoy using her products so much. These are the little hardware pieces. You actually have a choice. This one here has the little, I want to say it's got texture to it, these little pieces. There's like little dots that give it kind of like a hammered metal look, which is really cool. So I used a dark gray cardstock for those, and then I glued them down using some liquid glue and my tweezers. And here are the little florals, and see how they're all on one die strip. I mean, you can separate the little tops. There's a little heart, a little flower to go on the top of the fence arch if you wanted to. I cut out all the flowers using 2 different pink textured cardstocks. And I'm just going to arrange them across the vines, kind of alternating the colors a little bit. I think that you can do multiple colors if you wanted to. I'm just using the 2 different pinks, and then using my little picker tool there that's helping me to glue down those little tiny pieces. Those little tools are very helpful for all the paper piecing. And there, look how pretty that looks. So now I went ahead and I cut out the little corgi using some of that textured colored cardstock. Now his little layers are so cute, but I also used the little carrot to make his little white spot on his chest, and I think that that looks so cute. I think the little corgi is my favorite, but it's hard to choose because the kitties and the bunnies are just too cute as well. So now I have all my pieces together. I'm just going to prepare the background. I'm using some distress inks and the peeled paint and the bundled sage. This is my favorite grass combination. And I use my little blending tool to work from the dark to the lightest, from the bottom to the top. And I'm just going to create a little grass as a foundation for my garden gate. And once I have that done, I'm going to work on the sky. So I'm using one of my new favorite combinations, the salvage patina and the tumbled glass. And the salvage patina, I think, is probably my favorite of all of the distress colors. And I do have these in the oxide, and so I don't have the entire collection in the oxides, but I do have them in the distress ink cubes, which are my go-to. But when I have the oxides, especially for these bigger spaces, you can get a really smooth blend. I am using some Bristol Smooth cardstock, which is definitely my go-to for these background blends. I'm going to use a sentiment from the new Flower Shop 6x6 stamp set. There's some great images here as well as the sentiments. And the sentiments fit right inside the garden gate die, so it coordinates beautifully. I'm going to prep my paper using my anesthetic powder tool and center it right there under the arch. I do like to use the VersaFine black ink. That is my favorite ink for heat embossing. And I just stamp it a few times to get a nice solid stamp and to get it nice and wet so that it picks up on the clear embossing powder. And once that is all completely covered, I'm going to go ahead and heat my heat tool nice and hot and then melt that powder down. And I just love the way that looks. I love to splatter on an ink blended background, so I get my little splatter box and using the darkest green ink that I have, I just go ahead and dab that onto a stamp block because I love the way that those speckled drops look on the grass, and I think it adds a little bit of extra texture to your design. I'm going to tape off the sentiment because I also like to do a little splatter in the background sky just to add a little shimmer. I'm just using my Glimmer Mist as a splattering tool there to just go ahead and add some little silver sparkles. You kind of have to tilt it to the light to actually see it, but I love the way that looks. I'm using an A6 size card base. That is 4.5 by 6 1/4, and I love this size. It's bigger than an A2, but not as big as an A7, and I think that it's the perfect size for this garden gate die. So using the liquid glue, I'll go ahead and adhere it to the top of my card base, and then now it's time to put all the pieces together. So gluing the back of the garden gate, and I'm going to adhere it to the front of my card base right on the line there between the grass and the sky and centering it there on my card base. This looks so pretty. I love the way that this is coming together. For my little corgi, I'm going to pop him up using some double-sided adhesive foam tape. I also colored the little butterfly that comes with this die set as well, and I'm going to pop both of them up onto my card, adding a little bit of shimmer with my sparkle marker to the heart on the top of the gate and the butterfly, and then I'm grabbing my little sparkly Nouveau drops to add pink centers to all of the little flowers. I love the way that this card turned out. I think that it's so pretty and so sweet, perfect for a friend. And I went ahead and I created a second card using the kitty and the other sentiment. Here, the hardware, I used the different die that's more smooth, and I used silver hardware for that one. So I don't know, which one do you guys like better? This is the Garden Gate die and the Garden Stand Animals die. I really loved making these cards. I hope you guys like my video. I hope you guys like my cards. All of the products are linked in the description box below if you'd like to check them out in the shop. Thanks so much for stopping by, everyone. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye for now.